Yes, James, we have been working with you for the past 2 years, 2.5 years. It'll be really fascinating to see your solar program. Can you talk us a bit about why are you doing this solar program and why it's important for you?
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Nice to see you back at Northfleet. So we started in 2020. We engaged a company called Custom Solar, and they installed a 300 kilowatt system on one pitch at the main terminal. It went up pretty easily. It was a sort of test for us to see, okay, for a relatively modest investment, how does this work? Because we've got lots of lovely warehouse roof space, which is completely underused, relatively sunny corner of the country. And it performed very well. And I think soon after that, I think we were introduced to you, and you helped us come to an arrangement to sell some of the export power, and encouraged us to sort of do a second investment for another 500 kilowatt system. So that's where we are now, 800 kilowatt system, performing very well. We consume a fair amount of power on site for the cranes and lighting, etc. And our net consumption from outside, of course, has gone down significantly. We were very satisfied with the arrangements you made for selling our export surplus power through PPA at first, and latterly with the into the general market. So yeah, we're firm believers. It's been a good investment, and we're keen to do more, actually.
Yeah, and I remember in my very first conversation with you, you were talking about, I'm a firm believer of solar. So from a renewable perspective, is it solar is the only option, only the new technology, new renewable that you thought of, or you think of some others?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to look at our site. We're quite limited in terms of footprint, and yeah, I mean, of course, a few years ago it might have been easier maybe to put to investigate wind power or something like that, but I don't think that was really appropriate to our site. We don't have the footprint, but what we do have, like I say, is a lot of warehouse roof completely underutilized. So solar for us was the natural. We're not huge consumers of power, so there wasn't really a super pressing business case, but I suppose it was more my interest in renewables, and okay, this like I say, for a relatively modest investment, let's see what we can do, and it's performed very well. And I have a genuine interest in renewables, so for me it was quite an exciting investment, and it's been very rewarding to learn a bit more and to sort of get a better understanding of the market. And look, I think if we're being perfectly honest too, we have customers who are asking us about, green initiatives and what are we doing. So it's quite nice to be able to tell them, yeah, actually, we're really we're taking some quite big steps to introduce renewable energy onto the site, and then we can talk about the electrification of fork trucks and things like that. So potentially there's a story that we will become bigger consumers of electricity on site, all fed by renewables.
Yeah. 2 years ago this time, maybe you recall, we have been talking to Motive Fuels regarding that PPA, and then we were going to agreements with you. Was it useful for you to work with organizations like RE24? Were we adding value to you?
Yeah, absolutely, Dan. We would have, frankly, we would have been scrabbling around in the dark. I think when we first had the initial phase one with the 300 kilowatt system, we signed up for a year with, I can't remember now, was it Scottish Power or somebody like that? And they offered us a lousy rate. It was a very, very modest price we were paid for our surplus power. And then we were introduced to you, And you sort of said to us, well, you've got this business to business model, and you found a partner, Motive, and we struck what was a very good deal with a PPA, and which made our surplus power instantly much more a much better revenue generator for us, which we were already believers in solar, but actually that kind of gave it a really nice financial return too. So, I think the family shareholders are all fully behind it, but it's nice when you can also say, you know what, it actually makes financial sense too.
Yeah, fantastic. You have 800 kilowatts already installed on your new roof. And as you were saying, you have a significant amount of roof space left as well. Are there any future plans that you can share with us?
Yeah. No, it's. I'm pleased to tell you really that we're looking now at. We've been approached by a third party who's keen to invest on our site because they can see the potential of the roof space and what we've already done, and we can show them the sort of performance of what we've done, and if they have made a very interesting proposal for us to cover every square foot of available space we have, and that would potentially add 3.4 megawatt of capacity to our existing 800. So that would bring us up to potentially 4.2 megawatt of capacity on site, which we are super excited about. We hope we can deliver it. We need, we're at very, very early stages now in terms of reaching an agreement, but the potential's there.
Yeah.
And we're keen to pursue it.
Fantastic. And right now you're in a brand new building here. Again, 2 years ago when we came in, it was a building right next to it. What inspired you to do the new building and then make a fresh look at it?
I mean many things. I think, look, when you're on a site like this, there are so many investment priorities you need to pursue, and of course it's the customer. It's the business-driven things you look at first, the state of the berth, the warehousing, maybe more warehousing, more fork trucks, those are the priorities. Yeah. But finally, after 30 years on this site, we finally, decided, look, we really need to upgrade the office accommodation. So it was really nice to reach that point where we could do it. And for Secon, it's been a big deal, but I think the benefits will come in time. It's a nicer place to work. It'll be easier to recruit staff. I think staff will be better motivated. And just it sets a sort of higher standard for the way we work, I think, if you're providing staff with nice accommodation.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you consider any options of doing solar PV in this building as well? Yeah,
of course. We did. And it was something that our builders presented us with, and knowing that we were already sort of solar, we were already very interested in solar power opportunities. But the fact is, we looked at it, and the relatively small amount of roof space, the cost, it was just out of kilter to what we can do in terms of cost for a bigger system on a warehouse roof. So sadly, when we were fighting with rising cement prices, rising timber, rising steel prices, that was one of the things that we had to sort of delete from the program. But it's not a big loss. I don't know what capacity they could have added to this roof, but it was relatively modest in terms of what we're looking to do on the warehouse roof.
Exactly. I was thinking you have 4.2 megawatts next door.
Yeah. More bang for buck.
Exactly. Yeah. And also coming here for the first time, and also after visiting you a number of times, we see a bit of history, legacy. I mean, there's a fantastic flag in the background as well.
Yeah, it's one of the vintage flags from one of our first ships in the 60s. Yeah.
Talk us through a bit more where.
Oh, look, Secon was established in 1955 by my father. a small ships agency based up in the City of London. He was a young man from Switzerland, trained in Rhine shipping. He wanted to get ahead in shipping, and he moved to London. And I think at some point in the 60s they became ship owners, tiny coasters back then, and that's the flag from one of those first ships, which is rather nice. Over the years, so we're still ship owners. We have 2 ships, which are crucial to our operation here. They feed the terminal, going across, backwards and forwards across the North Sea. But I think our focus has probably, the last 20, 30 years, our focus has switched more from the ship side to the land side, investing on this site in particular. Yeah. And so if you look at Seacon's business now, we're still definitely a shipping company, but I think the emphasis is probably more on the port side.
Right, yes. And the whole this area is referred to as Port of London.
Well, so we're actually here in Northfleet, on the south bank of the Thames, opposite Port of Tilbury, but this is all the Port of London, from the sea right up to the beyond the city is it's falls within the Port of London Authority. They are the conservancy body for this whole area. Yeah.
Right. Yes.
So they look after the river, the navigation, and the upkeep.
Right. And I remember, like, one of the very early discussions again we had was how could we make sustainable fuel for the shipping, or maybe for the road transport as well.
Yeah. Look, I think when I look at the site, what we do, the heavy consumer is our gantry cranes. All of our fork trucks are diesel, but when it comes around to replacing them, I see certainly the smaller trucks will be moving to electric, so we'll be consuming more. And I think that there's going to be pressure to provide shore power for ships when we have ships on the berth here. Ultimately, they won't be allowed to run their generators when they're in the port. For the control of emissions, so we'll need to provide ship power from the shore, and so that's going to be another sort of strand of consumption on site. And then, yeah, look, who knows for the future? Maybe we'll find something else. Whether it's green hydrogen opportunity or something like that. Who knows? But I'm absolutely convinced it makes sense to invest more in solar on this site because of the advantage of the big roof space and the relatively easy, the relative ease of planning.
Yeah. And we interacted with you 2.5 years ago. We were relatively new, and you knew that we were like new and small organization as well. Did you have any concerns of working with a small organization, or how did you get comfortable?
No, I mean that wasn't a consideration for me at all. All I knew was that we were getting sort of a lousy rate selling our surplus power to EDF or Scottish Power. I can't remember who it was. And you were introduced to us and told us there was a better way, and you delivered. So credit to you. That was you helped us with that now, and we had no concerns at all because you spoke very knowledgeably about the business and the market, which was frankly all new to me.
Fantastic. Yeah. Thanks, James. Yes.
Thank you. It's been nice to welcome you to the new office, Dan.
Oh, thank you very much. It actually looks very nice. Very nice. Yes.